She claimed she was at a book club. I found a restaurant receipt in her coat. I made a reservation at the same place. The host recognized her. Said, "She usually sits in the corner booth." I took that table. I'm a 48-year-old mechanical engineer living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My wife, whom I'll refer to as Samantha, is 45. We've been married for 20 years and have 2 kids who are now in college. Our marriage had its ups and downs, like any long-term relationship. But I always believed we were solid. Samantha started attending a book club about a year ago. Every Thursday evening, she'd head out with a tote bag filled with novels and return late, sometimes with a bottle of wine. She seemed happy, and I was glad she had something that brought her joy. One evening, while helping her hang up her coat, a receipt fell out of the pocket. It was from La Trattoria, an upscale Italian restaurant downtown. The date and time matched one of her book club nights. I felt a pit in my stomach. I decided to investigate further. Over the next few weeks, I checked her coat pockets and found more receipts from the same restaurant, all on Thursdays. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I planned to see for myself. I made a reservation at La Trattoria for the following Thursday at 7 p.m. I arrived early and approached the host's stand. "Good evening, sir. Do you have a reservation?" the host asked. "Yes, under Michael." He scanned the list. "Ah, yes. Right this way." As we walked, I glanced around the restaurant. It was cozy, with dim lighting and soft music. In the corner, I noticed a booth that seemed familiar from the receipts. The host gestured to the booth. "Here you go. This is where she usually sits." I froze. "She?" He smiled. "Yes, Mrs. Samantha. She's a regular on Thursdays." I nodded, trying to maintain composure. "Thank you." I sat in the booth, my mind racing. Around 7:15 p.m., Samantha walked in, arm in arm with a man I didn't recognize. They laughed and seemed comfortable together. When they saw me, their expressions changed to shock. "Michael?" Samantha stammered. "Hello, Samantha. Care to introduce me to your friend?" She hesitated. "This is David. Nice to meet you, David. Please have a seat." They sat across from me, awkwardly. "So, book club, huh?" I said, looking at Samantha. She looked down. "I'm sorry." I turned to David. "Did you know she was married?" He looked uncomfortable. "She said you were separated." I nodded. "I see." I stood up. "Enjoy your dinner. I'll be in touch." I left the restaurant and drove home. The next day, I contacted a divorce attorney. I also gathered all the receipts and documented everything. When I confronted Samantha, she admitted to the affair and apologized profusely. But the trust was broken. We finalized the divorce 6 months later. I kept the house, and she moved in with David. Our kids were supportive and understood my decision. It's been a year since that night at La Trattoria. I've started dating again and even joined a real book club. Life has its twists and turns, but I'm finding happiness again. To anyone going through something similar, trust your instincts and take care of yourself. You deserve honesty and respect. She didn't reach out for a few days after I left that night at the restaurant. I figured she'd try to call or explain more, but there was silence. Then, out of nowhere, I got a message. It just said, "Can we talk? It's not what you think." Not what I think. That line made me laugh out loud. I saw her with my own eyes sitting with a man, not a book club, not a group of women chatting about novels. It was just her and David. Candlelight. Wine. Smiling. She looked happy, too happy for someone sneaking around. I didn't respond. A day later, she showed up at the house. I could hear her key turning in the lock. I hadn't changed it yet. She walked in like it was still hers. "Michael, we need to talk," she said, standing in the kitchen like she still belonged there. "You need to leave," I said. "This isn't your home anymore." She looked tired. Not the glowing version I saw at the restaurant. Her makeup was off, hair a mess. She looked real, raw. David isn't who you think he is, she started. I didn't cheat. Not the way you think. I stared at her. We've been meeting because he's a private investigator, she said, her voice shaky. What? I asked, not sure if she was trying to insult my intelligence, or if this was some weird gaslighting tactic. She nodded. I hired him to follow you. Now I was pissed. You hired someone to follow me? She nodded again. I thought you were cheating. You were distant. You stayed late at work more often. I found receipts from places I didn't recognize. I thought, maybe there was someone else. So this woman was accusing me of what she was doing herself? The receipts were from takeout spots I stopped at after work. I snapped. And I was working overtime because you said we were behind on the mortgage. She looked down. I know. I was wrong. And after a few months, David confirmed you weren't cheating. But by then, we'd gotten close. He listened. He understood me. One thing led to another. So it was an affair. Emotional first, physical later. And she wanted me to believe that made it better? You ruined this marriage because you couldn't communicate. You chose to play detective instead of just asking me what was going on. She started crying. I didn't care. I felt hollow. I didn't plan to fall for him, she said. It just happened. I shook my head. You didn't fall. You walked into it. Week after week. Corner booth. Book club. Lies. She left after that. No yelling, no door slamming. Just silence. But things got weirder after that. 3 weeks later, I started getting calls from unknown numbers. When I answered, there was silence on the line. At first, I thought it was a robocall glitch. But then I started noticing cars parked outside my house at night. Same model. Same spot. Lights off. Just sitting there. I called the cops. They said unless the car was on my property, or the person got out and did something, they couldn't act. Then one morning, I found a manila envelope on my doorstep. Inside were photos of me. Coming out of work. Pumping gas. At the grocery store. Some were taken from inside a car. Others looked like security footage. There was a sticky note inside. I told her you weren't clean either. No name. No number. Just that message. Now it wasn't just about betrayal. It was about fear. What did David mean? What did he tell her? What did he find that I didn't know had been seen? That envelope sat on my kitchen table for 2 days before I touched it again. The photos were harmless at first glance. Just me, doing normal things. Nothing illegal. Nothing embarrassing. But that note, it kept messing with my head. You weren't clean either. I started replaying everything I'd done over the last year. Had I met someone in passing and forgot? Did I have a conversation that could be twisted into something? No. I've been boring. I go to work, I go home, I eat frozen dinners when she's not around. I even stopped drinking beer because it was giving me acid reflux. But then I remembered something. About 6 months ago, one of my coworkers, Jenny, got fired. HR called me in for questioning because apparently, someone had accessed sensitive company data using her login. They asked if I'd used her workstation. I had once. She forgot to log out and I printed a report. I told them that. They didn't say anything else after that meeting. I assumed it was over. Now I wasn't so sure. What if David had somehow dug that up? What if Samantha took that sliver of doubt and convinced herself I was hiding some shady corporate secret? I called my old boss. He picked up right away. Mike? Everything okay? I didn't dance around it. Do you remember when Jenny got fired? That whole security thing? Yeah, I do, he said. You worried about something? I'm just wondering if that incident ever followed me. If there's something I should know. He paused. Not officially. But there were whispers that maybe you were the one who accessed that file. Some execs didn't buy your explanation. But we didn't have proof, so we dropped it. There it was. Doubt. I hung up, heart pounding. Then, 2 days later, I got a text from an unknown number. It said, "We should talk. Before it gets worse." Attached was a photo. It was of me leaving the building that day I was questioned, looking rattled, same shirt, same look on my face. He was following me even then. I replied, "What do you want?" No response. That night, I stayed up with every light on, watching the street. Around 2 a.m., a car rolled by slowly. I saw the same shape, the same dull headlights. It kept going, but I knew it was him. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just about the affair anymore. This was about control. Samantha had started something she couldn't stop. David wasn't just some PI. He was obsessive. Manipulative. And he had access to tools that let him track, dig, and watch. I started digging too. I found the agency he used to work for. He was fired 2 years ago. Harassment complaint. Internal stalking. A restraining order from a former client who said he followed her even after she fired him. She brought that man into my life. And he wasn't done with me yet. I had no idea how far this would go. Or how I was supposed to stop it. I decided I couldn't let this man keep watching me. He had crossed too many lines. I didn't care anymore if I looked paranoid. I was being followed. I started collecting everything. I took photos of the cars outside. I logged every text. I even set up a motion sensor camera outside my house. If he wanted a game, I was going to play it better. But I wasn't just watching him. I hired someone too. Not a PI. A friend of a friend who worked in private security. Quiet guy. Used to work in cyber. Told him everything. I gave him the envelope, the texts, even that HR story from my job. He started digging into David the same way David had dug into me. And what he found cracked everything open. David wasn't just fired. He was under quiet investigation. He'd been blackmailing clients for months. He'd dig up personal dirt and use it to push people into silence or money. He knew how to stay out of jail, but just barely. The worst part? He had done it to Samantha before. She wasn't just in love. She was being blackmailed. She had slept with him, yes, but then he used what she told him in confidence to keep control. She admitted to hiring him when she thought I was cheating. But when he found nothing, he turned it on her. Told her if she didn't keep seeing him, he'd tell me everything and twist the story to make it look worse. So she lied to me. She played the book club role. Not just out of guilt, but out of fear. I was mad as hell. But also, I felt stupid. Because while I thought I was losing my wife to some random affair, I didn't see the bigger monster lurking behind it. That's when I planned my move. I asked Samantha to meet me. Neutral place. Coffee shop downtown. She came. Pale. Nervous. Not the same woman I'd married, but also not the woman I saw lying at dinner that night. I slid the envelope across the table. "He's not just messing with me. He's doing it to you too." She didn't even open it. She just nodded. "I know." I told her about the guy I hired. About the stalking complaints. About the blackmail. Her hands were shaking. "He said if I told you anything, he'd go to your boss. Tell them you leaked info." He had screenshots. I leaned forward. "It doesn't matter anymore. He wants power. We take it back." She looked me in the eye. "I'll help." That night, we set him up. We used her phone. Sent a message. "I'm ready to talk, but I need a clean break. Meet me. Just us." She picked a spot, her old office parking lot. She said it would be empty at night. I waited 2 cars over, engine off. He showed up late. Walked up to her car like he owned her. What he didn't see was me, stepping out, camera rolling. My security friend in the back, recording audio. Samantha started calmly. You said you'd stop. He laughed. I never said that. You said if I didn't keep quiet, you'd ruin him. I still can, he said. And me? You'll get over it. That's when I walked up. I said nothing. Just pointed the phone camera at him. He froze. What's this? He asked. Insurance, I said. We gave the footage to the police. It wasn't the first complaint they'd had on him. But it was the clearest. He was arrested a week later. Turns out he had files on multiple people. Financial data. Personal photos. Conversations. He kept it all. Thought he was untouchable. He wasn't. The fallout was huge. My company cleared me, no wrongdoing. Samantha came clean to our kids. She moved into her sister's house. We weren't back together, but we weren't at war anymore. I sold the house. Moved to a new city. New job. New life. She made mistakes. I made mine too, trusting too blindly, shutting down emotionally, letting distance become normal. We broke each other in different ways. But David? David picked the wrong people to screw with. And now he's paying for it.